We've shared our lives, our homes, and our secrets with dogs for 30,000 years. We rely on them for companionship, for labor, for just countless moments of joy. But here is the central mystery we are diving into today.
Yeah.
We're only just now learning how to truly listen to them, not just, look at them.
And for far too long, we've interpreted canine communication through a purely human lens.
Right, simple metrics of happy or sad.
Exactly. And the studies we've synthesized show that their language, from the subtle twitch of an ear to the entire axis of a tail wag, it's a highly refined, often asymmetric mechanism for conveying these really deep cognitive and emotional states.
So our mission today is to decode that sophistication. We need to stop seeing behaviors like a frantic wag or that classic guilty look as just random acts.
Right.
Instead, we're going to treat every single one of those signals like a sophisticated car's dashboard. Each indicator is telling us exactly how the brain engine is running and what its neurological status is.
And our sources pull together the latest findings in neurobiology, animal behavior, and evolutionary psychology. The data provides this fascinating roadmap showing how domestication has literally hardwired dogs to communicate, well, specifically with us.
And often in ways that completely defy our quick interpretation.
Completely.
Okay, let's unpack this starting with the signature signal, the tail wag. If you ask anyone what a tail wag means, 99 times out of 100, the answer is happiness.
And that is the gross misconception we have to tackle first. While a loose, broad, hip-dragging wag certainly signals general friendliness and joy.
Sure, we all know that one.
Right. But many precise tail movements signal insecurity, fear, high excitement bordering on distress, or even an active social threat. We need to read the full context.
So if the tail is the dashboard, what are the primary gauges we should be monitoring?
We look at three components. First, there's the position or height. This is the emotional meter, measured relative to that specific dog's natural resting height. So a middle height means the dog is relaxed and comfortable. Horizontal means they are attentive, alert, processing something.
And higher.
If that tail moves significantly higher, stiffens, or curls over the back, it's a dominant signal saying, I have high status, or, serving as a warning to back off. Conversely, a low or tucked tail is a clear sign of submission and fear.
That makes intuitive sense, but how do we account for breeds like, say, a beagle who naturally carries their tail up versus a whippet whose tail sits much lower?
That's a great question, and it speaks to why we have to know the individual dog. When we talk about height, we're tracking the movement away from their breed-specific relaxed posture.
So it's all about their personal baseline.
It's all about their baseline. So while a beagle's tail may be higher than a whippet's at rest, the key is the rigidity and the acceleration of its lift above its own baseline. That's what signals a readiness for engagement, whether it's positive or confrontational.
Understood. The second component is speed, which just indicates the sheer excitement level. The faster the movement, the more intense the emotion. But the third component is where it gets really interesting, and it's the key to this whole deep dive, the neurological asymmetry of the wag.
This is the critical insight we get from brain lateralization studies. We know that in mammals, the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body.
And the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body.
Exactly. But what's fascinating is that the direction the tail wags left or right is a direct, measurable indicator of which hemisphere of the dog's brain is currently driving the bus.
So we have two different emotional operating systems that manifest in a simple swish. Tell us about the two sides.
Okay, so the left side of the brain specializes in positive behaviors involving approach and serenity.
Feelings like attachment, calmness, safety.
Precisely. When the left brain is active, it pulls the tail predominantly toward the dog's right side. In one study, when dogs saw their owner approach, or even an unfamiliar human they weren't threatened by, their tail wags strongly biased to the right.
It's a neurological signal for, I feel safe, I will approach.
That's it. Now contrast that with the other direction.
The right brain.
The right side of the brain specializes in negative emotions involving withdrawal, fleeing, and high energy expenditure associated with fear or anxiety.
So what does that do to the tail?
Activity in the right brain pulls the tail predominantly toward the dog's left side. When those same dogs were shown a stimulus they perceived as a threat-like, an aggressive, unfamiliar dog, their tail wag showed a strong bias to the left.
That completely reframes the greeting ritual. If you see a dog wagging hard to your left side, which is their right side, you're looking at positive approach behavior.
Yes.
But if the wag curves mostly to your right side, the dog's left side, you are seeing a stress response. The dog is excited, but in a distressed or fearful way.
It's not just a sign of feeling good, it's a physiological marker. It indicates their internal emotional engine is running hot and they feel threatened. And this knowledge changes how we react to an excited dog.
Let's transition from the tail to the face, specifically that phenomenon we all call puppy eyes. This speaks to the evolutionary hack, how domestication molded dogs to communicate with us.
Right, that ability for a dog to dramatically raise its inner eyebrow. It makes the eyes appear so much bigger, softer, more infant-like. It's a trait that's been amplified over thousands of years of living with humans.
And studies have actually confirmed this. Frame-by-frame analysis showed dogs produced significantly more facial expressions, especially raising those inner eyebrows, but only when a human was facing them.
And what's truly critical about that study is what they didn't react to. The presence of highly desirable food, like a tasty snack.
It had no effect.
It had no impact on the frequency or intensity of their expressions. This is really counterintuitive for many people who just assume all dog behaviors are a learned response to get a treat.
But I have to push back on that, though. If food has no impact, why do dogs seem to deploy the puppy eyes with such perfect timing when holding a treat bag? I mean, isn't that learned manipulation for a reward?
Well, that's where we differentiate between unconscious communication and immediate reinforcement. The core finding is that the facial expression itself is a mechanism of communication designed to elicit attention. That's the evolutionary part.
Okay, so attention is the goal.
Attention is the primary goal. Once they have our attention, they are highly sensitive to reinforcement. So if the puppy eyes sometimes lead to a treat, they learn to deploy the expression when attention is focused on them and there's a potential for reward.
That makes sense. The purpose isn't inherently food-driven, it is inherently attention-driven. The domestication process selected for dogs that could connect visually with us.
Precisely. It capitalized on our human tendency to find lard, soft eyes endearing. It proves the sensitivity of dogs to the human gaze as a prerequisite for social interaction.
And once they establish that connection and attention, their interaction with other animals, especially in play, becomes this complex, structured language filled with social disclaimers.
Oh, absolutely. We often look at dogs wrestling and biting, and we panic. The challenge is that they seamlessly incorporate elements from their aggressive repertoire into play.
So how do we, or the other dog, know that charging and pouncing is play, not aggression?
That's where the meta signal comes in, acting as the essential social disclaimer.
The playbow.
The foundational meta signal is the playbow, that classic down dog stretch where the elbows drop and the rear end stays up. This signal must precede rough behavior. It essentially says, I know what I'm about to do, looks like I'm attacking you, but I promise this is play. It sets the social context.
But collaborative play requires more structure than just one quick bow. You mentioned the M.A.R.S framework for truly structured canine interaction.
The M.A.R.S framework allows us to analyze the sophistication of play. M stands for meta signals, like the playbow we just discussed.
Okay.
A is for activity shifts. True play is characterized by rapid, unpredictable changes between chasing, pouncing, nipping, and bowing. It's not the fixed, escalating sequence you see when a fight is truly imminent.
And R is for role reversals, which speaks volumes about social intelligence and fairness.
Indeed. To keep the play fun and ensure cooperation, especially among dogs of different sizes, they have to take turns being the dominant and submissive party. The bigger, stronger dog needs to allow itself to be caught sometimes to prolong the interaction.
They literally reverse the roles.
They do. And S is for self-handicap.
How do we see that in practice?
The larger or stronger dog deliberately lessens their vigor to make sure the smaller dog remains engaged and isn't overwhelmed. You might see a huge golden retriever drop to the ground and swat gently with a paw at a tiny puppy.
Or stand still during tug-of-war.
Exactly, allowing the smaller dog to feel the victory. The self-regulation required for a stronger animal to purposefully restrain its power just to continue the relationship is a powerful indicator of social empathy.
If dogs are capable of managing complex social rules and fairness, how do they handle the most complex social interaction of all, dealing with human anger? Let's tackle the classic and commonly misunderstood guilty look.
This is such a crucial area of misinterpretation. We all know the look: head low, ears back, tail tucked, those big, mournful eyes staring up at the shredded cushion.
Right.
But research shows this is not a sign of guilt or remorse over their action. The dog often doesn't connect the ruined item with the punishment that's coming.
So what is it?
It's a learned, submissive display. The dog is exquisitely reading your body language, the raised voice, the lowered brows, the sharp movements, and recognizing that you are angry.
Ah, so the posture is an attempt to diffuse the situation.
Exactly, to avoid punishment. They've learned that this posture, which often triggers our sympathy, is the most effective way to calm us down.
So when we think they look guilty, we're actually reinforcing their ability to read and react to our anger, not their understanding of why they shouldn't chew the remote.
You're training them to act submissive when you're upset, that's all. What we call misbehavior is really just communication, information gathering, or a glimpse into the dog's unique Umwelt, their perceptual worldview.
Take sniffing us closely, for example. We might think of a dog sniffing a guest as impolite.
But for a dog, they live in a world of scent. We, as humans, live in a world defined by sight. But a dog lives in a world defined by complex chemical gradients. Sniffing you closely is their primary mode of information gathering.
We're like a walking data bank.
You are. They can tell where you've been, what you've eaten, if you have other pets, even subtle shifts in your hormonal state.
Or what about jumping up on us in greeting, which most owners spend years trying to correct?
That behavior is a deeply ingrained holdover from their wolf days. A pack member returning from a hunt would be mobbed by pack mates, who would lift them around the muzzle to prompt regurgitation of food.
So it's an ancient, hardwired impulse to try and reach your face.
It is. If you truly want to stop the jumping, you have to bend down to their height. Otherwise, you're forcing them to practice an ancestral behavior every time they greet you.
And a major challenge that contributes to this misunderstanding comes from misreading the dog's developmental timeline. We often treat a one-year-old dog as a mature adult.
That's a critical mistake, and one that sadly leads to many dogs being relinquished. Most dogs are still very much adolescents, teenagers, until about 2 years old.
Right, their brains are still developing.
Their brains, particularly the prefrontal cortex responsible for impulse control, are being fundamentally rewired. Just like human teenagers, they are subject to hormones and erratic behavior.
So they might forget their training.
Precisely. They experience a phase of increased sensitivity, impulsivity, and sometimes a challenging of boundaries. The difficult behavior during this period is not a sign of a bad dog, but a biological stage of development. Owners need to approach it with patience, not frustration.
It speaks to the critical nature of understanding the stage of life they are in, and that the dashboard is flashing lights because the engine is still under construction.
That's a perfect analogy.
Finally, let's look beyond body language and synthesize some remaining cognitive and sensory details. We often forget dogs are fundamentally olfactory creatures. Why are they so interested in smelling our breath?
Because your breath is a tremendous source of information about your health. We forget that doctors historically used scent as a diagnostic tool.
Before modern technology.
Exactly. A dog's nose can pick up the subtle, volatile organic compounds associated with medical conditions. Your breath can convey changes associated with diabetes or even specific notes related to cancerous growth. They may not understand the diagnosis, but they know something fundamental is different.
They're essentially operating as highly sensitive, living diagnostic tools.
Absolutely. And while their sense of smell is unmatched, let's quickly clarify their visual world. The myth about them only seeing black and white is persistent.
That's been debunked, right?
Yes. Dogs do perceive color, but they operate on a 2-color vision system, seeing blues and yellows, compared to our 3-color system that includes red. They don't distinguish reds, oranges, and greens clearly.
But their visual strength lies in movement and low light.
Their eyes are optimized for motion detection. They can see motion much more quickly than we do, and they are far better adapted for night vision. Their visual system sacrifices that vibrant color spectrum for speed and functionality.
So whether we're talking about their sophisticated vision, their superior sense of smell, or the neurological biases in their tail, the overarching message remains the same. The language of dogs is an evolutionary masterpiece.
It is. It's filled with asymmetry, conscious communication, and layered meta-signals used to maintain social harmony. By committing to understanding this, we gain access to their Umwelt, their true world.
So what does this all mean for you? We have revealed that truly listening to your dog requires us to step outside our human-centric biases and acknowledge their superior senses. We need to honor their primary way of experiencing the world.
And the greatest way to listen to your dog is to give them agency in their primary sense, to let them gather the information they desperately need.
Which leads to our final provocative thought. We encourage you to consciously change the structure of your next walk. Don't focus on exercise or reaching a destination. Take them on a deliberate smell walk.
A walk dedicated entirely to their interests and their nose.
Stop where they stop. Let them lead the way and sniff to their heart's content. By prioritizing the Welt of scent, you not only gain profound insight into their world, but critically, you allow them the cognitive engagement that research shows creates a calmer, more satisfied, and happier dog.